Good morning, everybody. Hope you are doing well. So, welcome to the TTT for Jsfhs, Java Server Pages, and Hibernate and Spring, and I am your trainer, Srinivas here. So, first of all, I will discuss about the content of the course and all, and then we'll be moving to the others. We will start with our session as usual. Very good morning to all of you. So with me today, I think Jogendra from Ahmedabad. We have faculty from Janagar Center. Okay, please write your name. Santana Lakshmi from NH, and I think Harsha from Bashirbagh, and we have faculty from Secunderabad also. Fine. So we'll start with the session by discussing what is the content and what are the cycle tests and everything. It will come in the Jsfhs. Okay, that we are going to discuss. Then we'll start with the main session. Okay. Pavitra. So, I think Pavitra, you need to use your different ID. I believe. Okay, you are from a different center. Okay, you are. It seems that okay, you are from Jayanagar. So please ask the local TIA to give you the proper ID.
Hello.
This is from Kukatpalli.
Yeah, sir, this is Sjfhs.
Sjfhs, please log off. Okay, so this is
Yes,
TTT training. Okay, so please log off.
Yeah, I was checking, sir. Okay, sir.
No, are you attending this training?
No, sir. I'm not. No.
Are you checking the testing? That is what you mean?
No, just was I was checking that. What is the
No, that is what I am saying. Please log off. Okay, so do not test
okay,
this
sir.
session. Right. Okay. Ghaziabad. Yeah, from Ghaziabad, can I know your name? Ghaziabad.
Arun.
Arun, the faculty from Ghaziabad?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Right, Arun. Harsha, please check. From Jayanagar Center. Quickly, can you please tell your name? You're on air. Please type your name. Which center you are from? Please type your name.
Hello.
Yeah, I am able to hear you now. Yes, Shivani, from which center it is? Shivani, from which center? Can you please tell your center name? You are audible, please tell. You're audible here, please. You can speak.
You check your
Shivani, you're audible. Can you please tell your center name? From Ranchi. From Ranchi, can you please tell your name?
सुशील कुमार रॉय.
Yeah, please tell.
सुशील कुमार रॉय.
From Ranchi Center, right?
Yeah.
From Jammu, can you please tell tell your name? From Jammu Center. From Jammu Center, can you please tell your name? Okay then, fine. Let me start with the session first. So, in this session, what we are going to discuss first is, okay, we need to know that for this module, what is the course content and everything it will be there, that I just want to tell you. So, we have, as you know, that Jsfhs, that is Java Server Faces, Hibernate and Spring. Okay, so this is totally which is consisting of 3 modules actually internally. One is Java Server Faces, second one is Hibernate and Spring. 3 modules. Gandhi Bazaar. So the next one, okay, so Java Server Faces, Hibernate and Spring. These are the 3 modules which will be there. Each module, okay, which is having some content, okay, that we are going to see first. Let me start with that. So in JSF module, okay, as part of your JSF module, we'll have total 8 chapters will be there. You can please check that. Okay. Fine, Pavitra. It is Kannakpura Road. From which city it is from? Pavitra, from which city it is from? Can you please tell? Fine. Alright, so you can see the content of Java Server Faces. We have overview of JSF, developing the UI component, managing the user input. We have managing the page flow in the web application, handling the events, then standardizing the layout of the web pages, then composing the new UI component, how to do, and developing the Ajax enabled web pages. These are the few chapters which we are going to discuss on Java Server Faces. Okay, so these are the 8 chapters will be there, and for this, okay, we have, as part of the curriculum I am saying, we have 4 cycle tests are there. Okay, when we are going to tell to the students, okay, so please remember there are 4 cycle tests which is the part of your JSF. So we have 4 MRs, that means total 4 MRs. Okay, so 4 cycle tests which will be the part of this JSF. Is it clear now? Okay, what are the content of JSF? We just need to click on plus, okay, to acknowledge. Click on plus to acknowledge the content, understanding of JSF. Right. Some of you have still not responded. Can you please click on plus, or any questions from the content? I want everyone to click on plus. All right then. So the next, we have the next your module, which is the part of your Hibernate also. Okay, Hibernate, what are the content which is there? Let us will see. Okay, the next module, this is nothing but your Hibernate. Hibernate is having 5 chapters. That is overview of Hibernate, mapping classes with relational database, querying the databases, persisting the objects, then implementing transaction and concurrency implementation in Hibernate. These are the 5 different chapters which will be the part of your Hibernate also. So this is again, okay, we have 5 chapters, and from this there are 2 cycle tests as a part of your course curriculum. So as I told you, like JSF will have 4 cycle tests, whereas Hibernate will have 2 cycle tests, which is a part of that curriculum, and here we'll have 5 chapters which will be the part. And there are obviously 2 MRs, 2 cycle tests, so 2 MRs which will be there. The last one, which is nothing but your Spring framework. Okay, the last one, that is building web application using Spring framework, will have 6 chapters are there. In this, overview of Spring, implementing the dependency injection, integrating the Spring with web layer, then implementing AOP, integrating Spring with the business and the presentation layer, and managing the transactions. Okay, these are the 6 chapters which is the part of your Spring framework. Okay, so this is again we'll have 6 chapters. So total here we have 3 cycle tests which is a part of your Spring framework. So around how many cycle tests which are coming? So total 9 cycle tests, which the student has to be finished, as part of his curriculum, that is JFH test. That is what we have the cycle test, and obviously we'll have 9 MRs, which is the part of this curriculum. So 18 classes, which is as part of the student curriculum it is concerned. So I believe, now, is it clear as part of the hours and everything it is concerned for this particular course and the content of this course? If any questions or anything, if it is there, then you can ask me quickly. I want everyone to respond quickly. If any kind of your questions as part of your cycle test or as part of your course content it is concerned. Yes, there is around, this is, I am going to share this particular PPT with all of you, so do not worry about this. So lab at home, which is concerned, in the lab at home you can see, that's PPT also. We have around 18 lab at homes are there. So these are the lab at homes which the students supposed to do, as a part of his curriculum also. JFS, we'll have 8 lab at homes are there. Hibernate, we have 4 lab at homes are there, another 6 lab at homes, which is a part of your Spring also. And here you could see also that which all the exercises which is he has to do also. I have just mentioned over here also, like the first lab at home for JSF, which is exercise 1 to 4, which is from the chapter 1 he has to do, and then you can see that from the JS lab at home 2 we have from the chapter 2 he has to do, and like that. I have mentioned here what are the exercises from which all the chapters he has to do, that I have mentioned over here. So this is the lab at home which he is supposed to do, or he or she is supposed to do in the classroom. So please remember, accordingly you can mentor that student that this is the lab at home, whether it has finished or not. So JSF 8, then Hibernate we have 4, then we have Spring 6. So accordingly you can remember like we have 8 chapters from lab at your JSF. Okay, though 5 chapters are from Hibernate, okay, but 4 lab at home. Spring we have 6 chapters, so 6 lab at home. That way you can just remember that. And we have the schedule of this particular batch, how it has to do, how it has to go, okay, as per weekly when we are teaching to the student also, how the weekly schedule it has to go, just I want to tell you overall. So that, okay, this is all about, I am talking about the term, okay, so that the term details I am giving to you. So weekly schedule, this is the way, okay, we'll have 5 weeks which will go the JFHS schedule, and week 1 will have like JSF first chapter 1 and 2, then second classroom we should have chapter 2, third classroom we should have chapter 3, fourth classroom we should have chapter 3 only, and the cycle test he has to write in a machine room. Week 2, okay, also will run JSF 4 and 5, and 6, 7 also will run from the second week. So 2 weeks which will go for JSF, 1 week for the Hibernate, and another 1.5 week for your spring session it is concerned. So this is the way how the weekly schedule it has to go as part of your JFS schedule. Any question? Is it clear now? Dilsukh Nagar Center.
Hello.
A student of JFHS batch, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you have this today's class? Today what is your?
Yes, sir.
Today we have lab. It is not your class.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so please do the lab. Okay, log off from this session.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay, fine. Alternate, see, I think Sai, right?
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Yes, Sai, right?
Yeah, good morning,
Yes.
sir.
What is your full name? Can you please tell me?
It is Pabboju Sai Kumar.
Sai Kumar. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine, Sai. See, alternate days if it is there, then you have to just into 2. Because this is
Okay.
week where 4 days classes are there, so accordingly I written that.
Okay.
But if it is alternate days, obviously it will go like week 1 itself. Okay, you have 2 weeks. Week 2 again 2 weeks. That way
Okay.
you can calculate.
I think this schedule is according to SLT.
Not SLT. It's not that of SLT,
Okay.
because SLT, ILT we do not have any kind of schedule mismatch. The same
Okay.
schedule which we need to be followed. Okay. It's that
Okay,
we
fine.
go
Fine.
slip into 2 or 3 session in SLT, that is different. But schedule wise it is.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Yogendra, this is faculty training. It's a faculty TTT training. Fine. So, let's see. Then the next one, it is this is all, and this is the cycle test and all the schedule how it will be there for the students. Cycle test and the PMR schedule, which will be, as I told you, like already. JFS we have 4 cycle tests, Hibernate 2, and Spring there are 3 cycle tests will be there, and there are 2 PMRs generally, which is the part of your JFHS. Okay, this is as part of your PGP schedule how it will be there also. All right. All right. Any other thing? So that's way. Okay, I just want to complete the courseware content details about the JSHs. All right. Now we'll be moving down. Okay, if any questions or anything is there, also you can ask me. So I just want to move to the next part. Okay, which is JFS. we'll be discussing about the session 1 or the chapter 1 of your JSF also, that is overview of JSF. Alright, anything, the course content wise, any doubts or anything if it is there from anyone? Your response. Just acknowledge that if you have everything clear, just you have to click on plus. Because I can know you are nodding of the head only by clicking on plus. So please do acknowledge. Alright then. So let's see the rationale of the course. Basically the JSF is used for what? So it is JSF which you are using for user to interact with your web application by using the UI component. Today's days, whenever we are creating the web application till now, as part of the JSF, when we are talking about when we do not know about JSF, so we have developed the web application using, mostly if I am talking about with Java it is concerned, we developed the web application using servlet or JSP. We are going to implement, and using that we can create our web application, the dynamic web application which we can create. But when we are creating the web application using servlet and JSP, mostly the UI component which is concerned. The UI component, when I'm saying the user interface component, it can be a text box, it can be a text field, it can be the password, that is your password field, it can be the combo box, list box, radio buttons, check boxes, anything. That it can be a table, it can be an image, that all the things are called your UI component, which end user is going to interact with your web application. That will be called as a UI component. And these UI components which you are developing, it is apart from your HTML, because JSP, neither servlet has been provided you these UI components. JSP has not provided any text field or a text box, or maybe you talk about say combo boxes or radio button or check boxes. These all the components has not been provided by JSP. You need to use, or you need to depend on the HTML form component only, and then only we can create the web application. That is the basic way how we used to do the interactive or dynamic web application using servlet and JSP also. But however, when we are talking about the JSF, we want to create the UI component. We want to create this UI component with a rich user interface, which is the look and feel should be rich. The way it is behaves also it dynamically. That is what our objective in JSF. So JSF will be basically, you can say, as a view component for you. That means which is going to interact with your user, that component which can be developed through the JSF framework. So Java server faces, which is basically developed for creating the view component. So if I'm talking about the MVC, that is model view controller architecture in the design pattern when I'm talking about. So there, you can see that there are three components majorly. Model, which is for the business logic implementation and data, and you have view, which is the end user content which is being displayed. Then the controller, which is a proxy between the model and your view component, and which is going to interact with your model component to your view component and vice versa. So in that particular design pattern, if you see, the JSF will be fit into the view component. So that is the simple thing about your what we can talk about your JSF is all about. So JSF is a framework. When I'm saying that, it is a framework. So please see that. This word, sometimes these technical words which gives you so many questions in our mind that what is the framework is all about. So when I'm saying that it is a framework, so we we should understand that that is, it's something like a libraries which are being provided by the JSF, by which we are going to create a rich user interface. And the libraries, when I'm saying when in terms of Java, if I say that it is libraries, it is nothing but the the classes interfaces, okay, which are being provided to create a certain kind of your component. Now here in our case, okay, the JSF, okay, there we are going to create the rich user interface. So that is all about your, what we can talk about your JSF is all about. So this is a framework which allow the developers, the web developers, to create a rich user interface. So that is all about, okay, the rationale about this course. What is that, okay, we are going to create, or what is that we are going to learn about this particular course, which is we are being discussed now. So now we are going to see that, okay, the first, okay, there are few theoretical concepts related to the JSF, okay, where we are going to talk about the goal of the JSF, the architecture of the JSF, okay, the life cycle of the JSF, how it has been, how it is going to be developed and everything that we are going to discuss now. So let's see that, okay, what. So any questions or anything about the rationale about this course? I want, okay, please interact so that it can be having a two-way interaction so that it will be better. Alright then. So let's see that, okay, in this particular session we are going to learn about the feature of the JSF and all. Okay, let me go with that. So introduction to JSF. So JSF, as I told you, it is a framework that is used to develop the interactive and secure web application. When I'm saying that framework, as I told you, that is a library which has been provided for you to create the rich user interface. And by the way, to tell you that, okay, JSF has provided, okay, the number of built-in components. You can see that, okay, here I'm talking about that. Okay, it is provided you the built-in component, like as I told you, like text boxes, text box. We can have the radio button. We can have the list box, radio. We can have command buttons, we can have images, we can have tables. All these are the built-in components which has been provided by this particular framework. So we can use this particular component and we can use that. So it is basically, okay, has given you a lot of validations and conversions data which has been provided. Hence, okay, that we cannot give any kind of data to these particular built-in components also. Hence, that it will be called as a secure. So this is the kind of things which we can talk about the JSF is all about. So it is a built-in component. Okay, so there are a number of built-in components which has been provided by JSF. Unlike in case of your JSP and servlet, which is used to depend on HTML form component, but whereas in the case of JSF, this will provide the built-in components like, okay, text fields, you can say, you can talk about the radio button, we can go for the check boxes. All these are the components built-in, okay, which are being provided to you. So we can use these built-in components and we can create our web application with a better format, okay, with that particular built-in components. Now you may ask that, okay, what is the greatness, okay, in case of your JSF, if I use the JSF built-in components instead of working with the already components which are there in the HTML form component. There are a lot of advantages which are available. Like if I am using this particular component, I can have the built-in validations, built-in conversions, okay, and everything which I can get, okay, using this component. But however, if I will do that, okay, using the form-based component which I used to do in the case of your JSP or a servlet, then I need to write the validation code manually by using the JavaScript code or by using some kind of your scripting language, or maybe I'm using my server scripting I may use for doing that particular validation. But however, JSF has given us the built-in validation using this particular component. So hence I need not to do explicitly doing that particular validation code and everything. So that is the best part and the beauty of your JSF components which are being provided to us. Am I clear to you this slide? Am I clear to you? I want everyone to please respond. fine. So we'll be moving down to the next part, okay, that is how JSF framework, okay, which is fitting into the MVC design pattern that we are going to see also. So JSF framework, which is provide the built-in support for converting and validating the user data. As I told you that, okay, there are built-in validation and conversions which are provided by the JSF framework. And even, okay, from one page to the another page, if you want to navigate, okay, we can navigate using JSF framework, and the component which can be used, that is nothing but your command button or command link, which has been provided for us, okay, for using this navigation and all. And by the way, JSF, the components which are being provided to you, we have the event handling mechanism which are available for the JSF framework components also. That is the best part of this. The EL is basically we are using for implementing or accessing the data from the components, okay, in a better manner. That is, okay, instead of writing the scripting code, okay, instead of writing the you can say scriptlets, we use EL. So EL, if you say the advantage of EL is to avoid the scriptlets. In case of your JSP, if I'm saying that, okay, expression language, if I'm using, that is to avoid the scriptlets. But JSF, it is the built-in components which are being provided for you. So that is way how you can compare with that. So then the JSF has provided these all the features, like validation, okay, is one of the features which has been provided. So you have given a password, 6 characters, it should be at least 6 characters. You want the validation that, okay, username should be of at least of say characters, and it should be of a number or anything, it has to be there. That kind of things will be comes under the validation tags which you can implement that, okay, using the tag itself. So which is, if you want to do that, the same thing in the JSP or anything, we have to do the validations using the JavaScript and all. But however, in case of your JSF, we need not to do that. Automatically it will do that. Okay, so using the tag we can do. So that is what your validation. Conversion in this part, okay, maybe you have given a string of date. Okay, so but by default it will take as a string, right? Okay, but if you want, okay, it should becomes with a date format, that we can do with a conversion. Now maybe the other part of this way also. Maybe I want, okay, that a string, it has to come with starting with a S, then after that, okay, there are some certain numbers, then we should have then some text, it has to be there. Some format, okay, you want to be, okay, writing with that. That kind of things also you can keep in the conversions also. These are all the, okay, built-in support which are being provided for you. A kind of your regular expressions how we are giving. There's the same thing which you can provide through the conversion also. So navigation which has been provided also. Navigation is the part, okay, by which we can go for one JSF page to the another JSF page. If you want to move, then we can use the navigation also. So that is we do through this JSF framework using the command buttons, using the command links, are the components which are built-in components which are being provided by the JSF. Using that, okay, we can implement also the navigations and all. That is also the part of your JSF framework. And we have been provided event handling mechanism. Event handling, you can talk about these components, the built-in components, the GUI components which are being provided by the JSF. Like how we give the Windows-based component like AWT or a Swing-based component, how we give the event handling. Similarly, we can also have the event listener to this particular components also. So we can write the event handling code, okay, in case of your JSF. So that is the beauty of your JSF. So generally, okay, in case of your, if I am talking about a command button, maybe you are writing in a JSP, like using the HTML component, maybe a submit button or a reset button or a normal button if you are writing, then if you want to give any kind of your action, you need to write either JavaScript or you may write, okay, a submit button which is going to move to another page. But however, in the case of your JSF, it has given its built-in event handling mechanism by which we can do various things with, okay, the validation or maybe some kind of your animation. These are all the things which you can be, okay, handled using this event handling mechanisms also. So that is the part of your JSF which has been given, and JSF is based on the popular MVC architecture. That means here this second point which says that JSF will be fit into an MVC. In the sense JSF component when you are developing, so obviously it is JSF, as I told you, it is a view which is going to interact with your user. So that will be it is a part of your MVC design pattern. So it will be work as a view component, and it has told also here like enables the developer to easily segregate the UI, that is view, and the model component which you can create, and the controller, and the communication between the data and the UI. To tell that, one more point I just want to add over here, in the JSF framework, we can also create the model component. Model component in the sense, here it will be, we can create the bean component. And when I'm saying that, it is bean, it is nothing but your, you can talk about a simple Pojo class, which we can develop, where we can write our, validation codes or anything. If you want to write, we can write. Or you want to do any kind of your functionality changes for that particular code, that is also we can do. All that we can write in the model component, which is a simple Java bean. And in the model we can write some business logic based on the data, that is also we can write in the model component also. And a controller code which is going to send the data from your model component to the view, or view component to the model, vice versa. If you want to do that, is what the part your controller will do. So this is JSF framework can be fit into an MVC model. And by the way, if you say the JSF, or you may say about the previous when we are developing the web application using the Struts. So basically these frameworks are developed for implementing MVC design pattern in our web application, because when I'm implementing MVC design pattern, it is easy for me to develop the web application with a reusable application, reusable components. Hence, the most of the frameworks are trying to develop the component using MVC design pattern. That's the basic objective. Is maybe you say Struts, or it maybe today it is JSF also you are developing. The objective is to create a MVC design pattern web application. Now the next one, which we can see. Any questions over here? Any questions in this particular slide? I want everyone to respond. From Ghaziabad, I think you are pressing double enter. You have to type the question. Just click on your through the mouse. You can click. Because the question, I am not able to get. You will press double enter. From Ghaziabad, I am not getting your question. Can you please type your question? Arun, I think. Arun, can you please type your question again? Model using the JSF component we can create using the bean component. We have, in JSF we have a provision for creating a managed bean, and the managed bean, we can develop through the simple Pojo class. So that is by which we can create a model component in JSF also. But however, when you are trying to implement with your Spring, when we are going to discuss in future that we can develop the Spring component also, that time we do not require this bean component. We may use a Spring bean component that time. But now, when we will discuss about JSF, we will see that we can create also the managed bean component, which will act as a model component, where we can write the business logic and everything. The Solan, from guest to Solan, who is there? Can you please tell your name? Solan Center. Yeah, Mahesh. Okay, fine, Mahesh. Mahesh, this is when I'm talking about the JSF. JSF will be the part of your MVC. Basically, it is a view component which we are using. Basically, we are using the view component. even Harsha, in his MVC design pattern is built in Jsfhs. I should rather say that Jsfhs will fit into the MVC design pattern. That way I can just want to modify the sentence like this. So Jsfhs will be fit into the MVC. That means the Jsfhs component objective is to develop an MVC based web application. So that way you can talk about. And Jsfhs will be which is basically a view component in your MVC. As I told you, that the model component which will act as a bean. In Jsfhs only we can have a concept called as managed bean, where that managed bean which will act as a model component to you. Am I clear, or any questions? Bean can be the part of the Jsfhs page do not have the bean. Bean is a separate component, and which can interact with this particular Jsfhs page. It doesn't mean that we cannot create a bean. We cannot create a bean in the Jsfhs. We can create a bean. You're using the Pojo, which will interact with the Jsfhs. I will not say that it is a part of Jsfhs or anything. Jsfhs is the page, that is Jsfhs which you are creating the page, and bean is a separate component which is a Pojo component which will interact with your Jsfhs page. Am I clear to you? Arun, Mahesh, Bhavani is also taking me. Any other questions? Any other questions from anyone? Fine then. Let's moving to the next part. That is enterprise application, which is consisting of 3 tiers. That is presentation tier, business tier, and database tier are the 3 different tiers generally which we can find here. Any particular enterprise application which I am talking about. So presentation tier, where we are creating the UI component. In our case, which will be the presentation tier. As we know that this is Jsfhs application. Your Jsfhs page can fit into the presentation tier, because here we are going to create the UI components and everything. So obviously, Jsfhs pages will fit into the presentation tier of an enterprise application itself. The business tier represents the application logic that process the application data. Here the business tier, how we can work, that business tier which will be working through the model component. So here we can use the bean component, which can be the managed bean in case of your Jsfhs. If I learn spring bean concept, I may use the spring bean concept and I can fit into the business tier. So that is what we can be implemented, that is business tier. So business tier where the model component which will work. In case of your Jsfhs, when you are learning, we can fit a managed bean concept can be implemented through the business tier. Database tier, here database tier, which represents the API libraries which I am talking about. Here I may use, differently. JDBC I may use, the ORM based tools like Hibernate or a JPA I may use for the database tier concepts also. So these are the 3 different type of your enterprise application which you can be implementing in the Jsfhs. So I believe, I am clear with the 3 different components which are there in the enterprise application, and where Jsfhs will be fit into, where the managed bean or the spring bean can be fit into, and in the database tier which can be fit into. In the database tier, you write either the code with a JDBC, or either you can write the code with a ORM tools like Hibernate, or maybe the Java Persistent API, that is JPA also you may be using that. Jsfhs pages are for the UI component, and these will not be used for the business logic, because here we are not writing any kind of your business logic, because the business logic will be written in the model component. That is nothing but your managed bean component. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any other question?
So actually, you're saying that Jsfhs fits into presentation layer.
Correct.
For example, I want to develop a complete application using Jsfhs. I don't want to use Spring or Hibernate. I want to use only
Correct.
Jsfhs for my complete application.
Correct.
So in that case, can I use this Jsfhs for writing my business logic?
No,
Or
that is what I
Jsfhs
think.
provides any classes, or
That is what
Jsfhs
I-
provides any classes or Yeah.
See, that is what I mean. I told that okay, there are two ways that okay I can use the component, that is your model component. Either we can use the managed bean concept. Managed bean concept which
Okay.
is not a part of a string, okay, which is a part of the JSF itself. Okay, so where we can create
Okay.
a managed bean, a separate class, as a POJO class we
Okay.
can develop,
Okay.
and there we'll write the business
Okay.
logic, okay, everything, and that
Okay.
will be interacting with your JSF application. If I want to say that, okay, only I want to create a JSF application and I want the right to business logic, please write the business logic in managed bean
Managed bean.
and interact with
Okay.
your okay, JSF.
Again, which is a part of JSF, and it is a part of JSF.
concept. JSF concept.
Okay.
But please do not consider that okay that both are in the single page. No, they both are the two different components.
Understand, yes.
This is JSF page. This is
Okay.
your POJO component. It's just like I can
Okay.
if you want to compare with this, I can compare with JSP colon use bean concept which we use. Okay, in case of your JSP we use
Yes.
JSP colon use bean, the standard tag which we are using, and where we are
Yes.
implementing
Yes.
bean component, where the bean component is a separate component,
True.
but we are interacting with your JSP component. Similarly, the managed bean concept you can consider the similar way.
Use bean.
Here
The
also
same like
we'll
use
have
bean.
something called a scope and everything. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Arun, you are not audible. Now you are audible.
Yeah.
I think.
Sir, I just want to know, in the term of JSP,
Okay.
hello?
Yeah,
In
please, sir.
term
Please.
of JSP, we can create our application without using the servlet. But in the term of JSF, we have to use the its managed bean. So how we can say that using the single JSF, we can develop entire application, but in term of JSP, we can do that without using the servlet. If you want to apply the sessions and all, we can use in the JSP without using the servlet, but in the term of JSF, we have to use the managed bean. So how we can say that the entire application we can develop using the JSF?
Okay. The question here, two things are there. One is Arun, see JSP application when you are comparing with your JSP to the JSF. I just want to tell you that okay, the managed bean which you are saying, I think you are comparing the managed bean with a servlet, right? But however, it is not correct. Okay, managed bean is
Bean
not
is a
like
different
a servlet.
component, na?
It is a simple component, okay, which is a class component where we are going to write the business logic. You cannot say me that okay that I want to create a JSP based application without creating a bean. There also we require the bean component whenever we go for the business logic. If I'm writing the business logic within my JSP, then okay, it will take time. That is why we avoid the scriptlets also. There also you see that okay, in JSP we avoid the scriptlet by writing either using the EL, or we use also the JSP, the bean component we are writing where we are writing the business logic. So here also we divide. If you want to write, you can write in the JSF application, but what will happen? The performance will degrade. Okay, so hence we are dividing that. But managed bean, it doesn't mean that okay, it is like some kind of a controller component or anything. Without managed bean also, single JSF application can run. There is no problem.
That means we can create the controller and all things in the JSF page.
It can act. It can act as a controller. That means what? Controller means what? To move from one page to another page. Basically, the controller job is to do that, and okay, doing some okay internal activities like security checkings and all. That we can do also even in the case of JSF also. That we can do. There is no problem in that. You want to create as a separate component, you can do. These are the two things.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
Now that is what about your presentation tier, business tier, and the database tier which we are talking about. Now let us will see that okay how we can use the JSF. As I told you that okay JSF will be fit into the presentation tier, which will be best suited to the presentation tier itself. So JSF, which is to build the UI component, and it is having the process to user data, handling the events, okay, which particular page it has to be displayed. See, this particular work who has to do? The controller, it has to do. Okay, generally the controller will do that, okay, which particular page it has to be displayed. JSF can do that. Okay, it is best suited for the presentation, okay, tier of an enterprise application. That is what I said. And now we'll be moving down to the next part, that is nothing but the goal of the JSF. Okay, so it is very, very important, one slide which you need to know. So JSF has been provided, okay, framework which is easier to develop the high quality UI component, as we know, okay, and which is having the event model, that is which you can write also the event handling code in case of your JSF, like swing. Anyone can tell me about what is a swing? What is this swing? I want to hear from you. Please write. Again, Arun, you have pressed double enter. Not okay. From Chandigarh, sector 32. Can you please tell your name? Please tell your name. Unmute your mic and speak. You have not muted your mic. I think please unmute your mic. Can you please type your name? Very good. I think Sai responded. Okay, Bhavani has responded. Thank you. From Mahesh responded from Solam. Yogendra responded. Very good. Aksha responded. Thank you. Yes, yes. Okay, Swing is basically, okay, it is a package which is provided from your Java, basically to create a lightweight UI component. If you want to create it, then okay, we can use your Swing based application. Okay, so if I want to create a GUI standalone based application in case of your Java, then I may use the Swing, which is also called a JFC. JFC, Java Foundation Classes. Now the name why it has come the JFC, that is because we have something called as Microsoft Foundation Classes. Okay, MFC used to be there. So based on that, okay, MFC used to create the lightweight component in case of your Microsoft based. That is when we used to have the Visual Studio, okay, which is used to be there. So that time MFC we used to do, by which okay we developed the component in Windows environment. Similarly, Java has given its own GUI component. Okay, so that is called as a JFC. Now JFC has found as Swing. Now, by the way, this is just an giving a comparison between the why that JFC, then why the Swing has come. The here why we are talking about the Swing. Swing, how we have the GUI component, and it has given the event modeling. Like you have a button, you have combo box, you have check boxes, and all these things are there. Now, when you click on your combo box or your button, then okay, it will goes to the your event handling processing code, and then okay, it will execute some part of the application and all. That's the way okay we are writing. Also, the event handling code can also be written for the JSF based your UI components. That is what exactly which is available in JSF. But okay, unlike in the case of the previous base, that is before JSF, which was there, that is your Struts based application when you used to develop. Okay, we do not have the event handling mechanism. Okay, in case of your Struts, but however in the JSF it has been added. Okay, so that is the and one of the advantage component of your JSF. Then okay, which has JSF has provided an API for the validation and conversion. As I told you that okay, all these built-in components we can write the validation code and everything. So that is one of the advantages what you can find, and to provide the mechanism for automatic generation. Here the last point which you have to be stressed upon. please remember one point over here. JSF can give the output to a browser. JSF can give the output to a WML, that is wireless markup language browsers. That is nothing but the wireless phone browsers which you used to have. Okay, so to that also it can give the output, or to a normal browser, that is which we are running in a laptop or a desktop. To that browsers also it can give the output, or to a WML browser also it can give the output. That means JSF can give to the different devices also. The output can be given to the different devices. So that is what one of the beauty of JSF, what you can say. So the designing goal of the JSF is that. Fine. Alright, any questions from this particular slide? I want anyone. If you have any questions from this particular slide, can you please respond? I want everyone to respond. String. Yeah. Can you please tell your name from Vadodara Center? Maksud. Maksud, basically the string is a GUI based. It is a GUI based way which we are creating in Java. So it is your package which has been provided by Java, that is Java x.swing is the package which has been provided, and there are a lot of classes and interfaces which has been provided for you to create the GUI application. But okay, this is a standalone GUI application. If you want to develop, then we go for the string application. But okay, why I am comparing this string with your JSF, which is nothing but okay, in case of your string also we have event handling mechanism which is there, by which the GUI component can have the event handling codes also it is there. The same way in the case of your JSF components also we have the event handling mechanism which is available. So that is what the comparison between the string to the JSF component. Alright, am I clear? Maksud, you are not audible. You are not audible. Can you unmute your mic?
Hello.
Yeah, Maksud, now you are audible. Is it clear now?
Hello.
Yes, Arun, please
Hello.
tell.
Yes, sir. I just want to know which.
Arun, your voice is breaking. I'm not getting the whole sentence from your. I think the mic has having the problem or something. Please ask the TIA to on other machine and give you, so that it will be easy, because it is breaking the voice.
Now I think now it's clear.
Yeah. Now,
Yes, sir. I just want to know which server we have to use, application server or web server. First thing.
For
and
JSF,
other thing is
for JSF. Okay, for JSF we can use even a web server or also more than enough. It does not require any application server. By the way, to tell you that application server generally which we can use for EJB applications, but for JSF it is not mandatory to use your application server. But if you have if you are running, there is no problem. There is no side effect. But it is not mandatory.
yeah. Okay. And to provide an API for the validation, which kind of API? It's a third-party API?
No. JSF framework itself has provided there are classes and interfaces where by which we can do the validation. So it is not any third party API. In the JSF framework means what do we understand? The classes and interfaces of the packages which are provided for writing the JSF based application. In that only the validation and the conversions are included. It is not that any third party thing.
And this framework completely designed in Java?
Yes, obvious.
Okay. That means the completely the core Java and okay.
Based on the classes of the core Java. Okay.
Okay.
Because
Thank
this
you.
is from the JCP, right? Okay, Java Community Process. Okay, so from that only it has been developed. All right.
Okay.
I have a small doubt in this WML browser. This WML browsers means that these browsers are in mobiles or tablets.
No, it's not tab, I think. Okay, it is basically the, if you remember, okay, we used to have the wireless mobiles. Okay, this is what, okay, not this browser. Normally these browsers it is having with, what you can say, with a normal browser only. Nowadays, whatever the smartphones are coming.
Yes.
Previously
Yes.
days, okay, we used to have the wireless mobiles which we used to have. Okay, there we used to
Okay.
use the WML. Nowadays, okay, no one is using that much WML actually. Okay, previously
Okay.
we used to write the WML code also. Okay, to fit into that particular mobiles. Okay.
Okay.
Nowadays smartphones, you create apps. We create okay that scripting so that okay it will be fit into that browser also. Okay.
So that means it will be a normal browser in smartphones.
Yeah, it's a normal kind of browser. It provides.
So
you
not a
HTTP.
WML.
No, it's not a purely
Okay.
WML.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So
Thank
because
you,
even you can see a small website you develop, okay, and you can also run in the smartphones. We can try it that also. Because
Yeah.
that means it is supporting HTTP,
Okay.
right? So that's not.
Yes.
So we now need
Okay,
not to
thank
write
you.
explicitly WML. Okay. So no. We cannot create a web application using Swing. Swing is basically to create a Windows-based application. Okay, basically to create a Windows-based application, lightweight application, we use the Swing. Alright, and then we have JSF framework is preferred over the existing framework, okay, with various advantages which we can talk about, like which particular point which we are talking about. See, smartphones, okay, does not require any kind of your WML code. We have now, okay, that can also support the normal browsers, how it is supporting the desktop and all. But however, in the case of your previously, if you'll go for a legacy, okay, then we can go for okay the mobile which are wireless mobiles which used to be. That time, okay, it is supposed okay it used to support the WML. Now it is not required. Swing is being created. Okay, Swing is basically for okay implementing the Windows-based application. JSF, as you know, that okay it is based for creating the web application. Now let me go for the few points about the JSF which I am talking about. Okay, so when I am talking about the JSF, there are certain advantages which are being available. That is, which is easy to create the UI creation because it has provided for us the different UI component by which we can easily create the UI components also. So one is that okay, easily creating the UI. And data management with using the UI, we can do that. Okay, so that is one part. And segregation of presentation and the business logic. Okay, this is the third element of your JSF advantages. And we do this okay by using the JSF and the business logic code which you can write in the model components. That is also we can do. Short development lifecycle. In case of your JSF, we can write the same like in JSP, how the web developer and web designer can write. Similarly, here also we can write okay, the web designer and web developer can work together. So that is way how we can say that okay, it can be having short development lifecycle, and it is having the extensible architecture which can be supported with the different other technologies like Hibernate and Spring. We can be okay using that. And then okay multiple client device support. When I'm saying, as I told you that okay JSF not only it will support to the browser based applications which is desktop or a laptop, which will also be supported to the WML based browser, that is to the wireless mobiles and all. There also it will be supported, and there also you can the data, the output can be sent to that also. So these are all the 6 different advantages which you find in case of your JSF. Now, when we'll talk about, okay, this is the few things about your JSF when we talk about the advantages, okay, about the JSF is all about. Any questions? These 6 different points which we have been discussed. I want everyone to respond. Can you please respond quickly? Any questions from these 6 different components? Multi-client device support, as I told you, Sai, like it will support the browser, okay, as well as it will support the mobile, okay, wireless mobile browser also, which is WML based. So both the devices it will support, hence it is saying that it is multi-client device support also. The data management here, when I'm saying that is nothing but, okay, something like here the components, the UI components which you are developing in case of your JSF, these UI components will be bind to the bean component easily. Okay, so that is why it is called as easy to the data manage. So whatever you are typing in the UI component, automatically the bean value also will be updated. So you need not write an explicit code, okay, to bind that particular UI component, okay, to the bean component also. That is why it is easy to manage the data. Okay. So that is just like your customizing, you can say that, okay, customizing existing features, okay, then the JSF has been provided you with some of the standard UIs also it has been provided. And these standard UIs, whatever it has been provided like a command button, but I don't want, okay, the same command button. I want to use, okay, my own command button by extending the existing component. So that will be called your extensible architecture. So not only that, okay, component which you want to use, as a web developer, I want to create my own component and I want to develop, that is also can be possible. That is called your extensible architecture also. Any other questions? All right then. So we'll be moving down to the next part, okay, which will talk about the other things. So now we are going to compare with your struts with your JSF. So as you know that, okay, previously we used to have another framework which is called your struts, and many of our programmers have created the application using the struts also. So the struts is also a framework which is based on the MVC design pattern, and this struts based applications also will be fit into the MVC. And basic objective of your struts framework is to separate the UI with the business model. But okay, it is not, okay, given the priority to the rich user interface. Only it is basically to create a view component and the model component separately and develop them, okay, individually and interact between them. That is only the basic goal of your struts framework. So previously, whatever the applications, the web application which has been developed using the struts framework, so the objective of that is to develop the view component and the model component separately, so that, okay, that can be reusable again. But there is nothing, okay, the priority has been given to the UI component. Though struts framework also having its own UI components also, but it is not the high-end UI component as like your JSF. Like, okay, it cannot do its own validation, conversion, and the rich user interface look, it has not been provided. So that is what, okay, why we are using the JSF also. Now we'll have a small comparison with your struts with the JSF also. Struts is an open source product, whereas JSF has been governed by the expert group, that is your JCP. And in struts, sorry. In Struts application, the form bean will contain the data. So I just want to say, if you do not have the idea about the Struts also, leaving that to that. If you have the idea, okay, you can have just bean 1-2 concept which is there. Struts, okay, when we used to develop the struts, we used to have the form bean component and action bean component which is used to be there. Form bean is used to contain the data items, which will do by your bean component, which will now the managed bean component also will do the same thing what your form bean component is doing in case of your struts. And action bean contains the application logic, that is the business logic which is used to be done. But whereas in case of your Jsfs, we can create the separate classes, that is managed bean, you can create where you can write the data and the application logic. However, you can also create a single class, that is in the Jsf itself we can also write the application logic and as well as the GUI code also. That is what we have in the case of your Jsf. Someone is asking me that can I write the business logic code in the case of your Jsf also? But definitely we can write also. But however, for the performance reason, we divide that two components into a separately and we are writing that. Alright, so that is what we can talk about. And Struts framework doesn't provide any kind of your reusable UI. If I am talking about this particular point, this point which I am saying that it is providing the reusable UI component. Reusable UI component in the sense that is as part of your Jsf, as I told you that we can have the UI component. So consider that I have a command button, but however that command button I do not like. I want to create my own command button using this existing command button. I can do that. So reusable of UI component can be possible of Jsf framework, which is only we said that it is extensive architecture. We can extend the already existing architecture to the new level. But however, it is not possible in case of your Struts. It is not given any kind of your reusable UI components also. But Jsf has provided that. Struts does not have any kind of your event handling, but however, Jsf has given the event handling features also. In the next the future classes, we are going to discuss also how we can do the event handling in case of your Jsf also. Struts tags generate HTML, whereas Jsf can have HTML output to the browser as well as WML output to the wireless browsers. So these are the two different type of your output can also be created by the Jsf also, as I told you already. So Jsf will render. Why we use the word called as render? Because this is a technical word we will be using called as render. Render is nothing but because whatever the tags which you are writing in Jsf, it will be tag based. But however, when it will goes to the output, it will be based on the HTML only. So the conversion which will be done, that is nothing but your rendering. So rendering is the process by which we convert your Jsf tags to the understandable, that is by the client. So that is what how you are doing the changes. That process will be called as rendering. So that is the display conversion. So this is some of the you can say the differentiation between the Struts and the Jsf based application. So these are some of the few points which you can be stressed in the class. Where maybe you can give an highlights to the students about the differences between the Struts and the Jsf also. Any point where we can discuss more? I want everyone to respond. It's some are using, but nowadays Jsf is more size, you can say. I'll tell you this from why is that. Alright then. Now the next one which we are just going to do, that is the following figure, which we can see the architecture of your JSF which I am talking about. So mostly this architecture you see, whenever there is a request which will come for the JSF page, first servlet which is going to be accessed, or first the controller which is going to be accessed by the JSF. So front controller is the controller servlet, which is called also the faces servlet, which will act as a controller servlet, which is also called as a front controller. And from the front controller, it will go to the different rendering kits. You could see that different rendering kits which are being available. Either it can be HTML render kit or it can be a WML render kit. And what is this render kit will do? Depending on the type of your render kit, it will convert that web pages, the JSF web application page, to the client understandable language. That is, it may be the browser based application which requires an HTML based output, or maybe the WML browser, that is nothing but your wireless browser which understands your WML. So WML render kit will convert that into the WML and it will send to the devices which is a wireless browser, and HTML render kit which will be convert that into an HTML output and it will be sent to the browser also. And there is a component which you can see that managed bean component, and this managed bean component which will act as a model component, and here it will contain the data, or it may contain the application, any business logic also if it is there, that all the things which will be contained by the managed bean also. So these are the a small architecture of JSF is all about. Any questions? And JSF render kit, which you can find in the Java x.faces.render.render kit class. So this is the kit which is being there in the Java x.faces.render.render kit class. That is what you can remember. Yeah, please tell.
Whenever we send the request to the front controller,
it will go to the first
then
front
it
controller.
will, for front controller, then after the HTML render kit, then the managed bean, or directly without rendering, it will go to the managed bean.
No, it is see, it is only told that the request will go to the front controller, but actually when we'll discuss about the life cycle, we'll know that from the front controller also will the faces servlet will create a context object. That context object which will contain all that particular information, and it is going to interact with your model component, everything. Once it is being processed, the last phase is rendering. We'll have 6 different phases. We have 6 different phases, which it has given to the rendering kit with a single arrow. Actually, it is not happening that. With 6 different phases it will go. We'll have something called as restore view phase, then apply values phase, then process validation phase, update values, then process application, then rendering view. So this one line doesn't mean that this directly goes to that. Actually, it goes all that. There we use the model component when we are using your process validation and update model type. Is it clear now?
Yes.
So do not consider that directly it goes to the render kit itself. With that 6 different phases it has to go. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Fine then. So the next one, there are 3 different type of your rendering kit which you can find. That is nothing but your HTML render kit, WML render kit, and one more render kit which will be used. That is called your scalable vector graphic render kit. There is a question which is in your FSCT or in case of your students examination also. You can stress upon this render kit. These 3 render kit is used for what? HTML render kit. I'm just highlighting this. HTML render kit, which is the default render kit for the JSF UI component and targets to the HTML browser. When I'm talking about the WML render kit, this is basically target to the WML browsers. it targets to the client that use the WML browser to access the JSF pages. Whereas, okay, the SVG render kit, which is used to display the graphics and animation kind of your JSF application. So if you have a graphics or animation based pages are there in the JSF, then SVG render kit will come into the picture and which will render, okay, to the appropriate output also. So there is a question, okay, which may be in our FSCT or in our the student-based questions also, that okay, which particular render kit will display the graphics and animation, okay, in our application also it will tell you. So there you can say that okay, it will give you the 4 options like HTML render kit, WML render kit, SVG render kit, some XYZ render kit also it will give you to make a confuse. So please remember that. Okay, this is one question which will come from your FSCT based. No. We never define that. Okay, our, the kits and all. So now we'll talk about your life cycle of JSF pages, which we will talk about. Okay, let us see that. Okay, so each stepwise which we are going to discuss now. Yes. Automatically the render kit will be taken care. Now you can see that okay, the life cycle of the JSF page, how it will be there, that we are going to see. The first, okay, as I told you that whenever the user will click, okay, for the first time, then okay, it will reach to the Faces servlet, and as you know that okay, Faces servlet is the front controller, okay, in case of your okay JSF. This is one question also. Okay, which one is the front controller for JSF? Is it the Faces servlet, Faces context? Okay, some other two names it will give you to trying to confuse you. Okay, so this is also you need to know. The Faces servlet is the servlet, okay, which will act as a front controller for the JSF page, and whenever the user will click on that particular any particular one, okay, when it will click, this will okay go to the your Faces servlet, and then okay it will be request will be processed by the Faces servlet. Then Faces servlet, what it will do, Faces servlet okay will create an object of the Faces context. You can see that okay there is a Faces servlet, from that okay there is an arrow which is coming to the Faces context. So that is what here Faces servlet will create an object of the Faces context, and this Faces context will contain the information required to process that particular request. So that is what your Faces okay servlet will do. Then Faces servlet will pass that particular request to the object called as a lifecycle object. So these are the three different your phases of the life cycle which we are talking about, which is the overall okay about the life cycle of JSF page. So first user will click, it will go to the request will goes to the Faces servlet. Faces servlet will create an object of the Faces context. Okay, that Okay, fine. Sorry for the technical problem. So we are at this point, okay, that is life cycle of the JSF page, okay, which we are talking about. As I told you that, okay, first point, that is the user will first give the request to the faces servlet. Faces servlet will create an object of the, okay, faces context, which will contain the information about to process the request, and faces servlet will pass that particular request object to the life cycle object. So these are the three things which we need to remember as part of your, okay, the life cycle of your JSF. The kind of, you can say, okay, the size, it's an object. So now we'll have the life cycle, the life cycle, okay, object which will process the request. There are 6 different phases which you have to do. Okay, so about the faces context object, how it will contain the information, and what are the different phases it will go. Let us see that. See, there are 3 steps are there. Okay, first we need to remember that, okay, in the step 1, okay, the user, okay, will click, whenever he will click on a button or a click on a link, then, okay, it will go the request to the faces servlet, okay, where it has to process. Second, okay, it is nothing but, okay, it will create an object of the faces context object. That is, who will create this object? Faces servlet will create an object of the faces context. Okay, then, okay, the faces context object which will contain the information to process that particular request. So that is what your faces context object it will do. And the third thing, that is nothing but the faces servlet will pass that particular request to an object called as, okay, life cycle object. That is the, okay, 3 different steps which we need to remember here. Am I clear now? I want everyone to respond. Any questions from this? All right. Fine then. Let's see that, okay, 6 different phases, that is nothing but your restore view phase. Okay, then we have something called as apply request values phase, process validation phase, update model values phase, invoke application phase, and render response phase also. So to understand these particular phases, okay, let me put it in a diagram base so that, okay, which can be easily understood. Let me put it into that here. Faces context the object will contain the information of, okay, what the request it has to be processed. That information will be contained by the faces context object. Lifecycle object will take care about how the 6 different phases it has to run. So this will process the request in the 6 different phases. You can see that. Okay, that is the purpose of the lifecycle object. Any other questions? So we'll take a break at 11 o'clock. Okay, so maybe, okay, you'll have an, otherwise that will, okay, in our mind it will run. So I'll give the break at 11 and we will come back at 11:50. All right, so let us see this 6 different phases, okay, which we need to be discussed in the JS. One is restore view phase, apply request value phase, process validation, update model, invoke application, and render response phase also. So with a diagram, we are going to discuss that. Okay, so let me show a simple diagram to you, the life cycle phases. Give me a minute. Consider that, okay, this is a login dialog box is there. Now when the user will click on a login or anything in a web browser, when he log in, okay, when he log in, clicks on the login button or clicking on the login link, it is going to the login dialog box. Let us think that, okay, this is the login dialog box which is there. Now this login dialog box, when it is coming, okay, so that time okay, what will happen? The user will click on that link, then it will go to the faces servlet. It will create an object, okay, the faces context, and this particular page, it has to be loaded. That is why you will see that, okay, there is a diagram which I want to show you that, okay, from the restore view page, this is the diagram which I just want to show you also. From this particular restore view page is the first page, you can see, but from that particular first page, we move to the render response page. How it can be possible? Because when you click on the link, at the login link, you go to the login dialog box. And to get that particular page from the server, the JSF page, the output, it has to be converted and it has to be stored into the client device. And whenever a JSF page will convert, okay, and give the output to your client, there should be a render page it has to run. That's why restore view page, when you will click, that time render response page also it will be there for the first time. Because the first time when the web page will be loaded, that time this render response page, okay, it is going to run. That's why you can see that, okay, from the restore view page, it goes to the render response page. Is this, have you understood, or any questions? Am I clear why this restore view page, okay, and it is going to the render response page? If you have any questions, please ask. I want everyone to respond. Render response page, okay, is the page where we know that the JSF page will be converted to the client specific, okay, output. That is what your render, okay, page it will be done. When you click on the link, any particular link, you go to the Yahoo page, you go to the login. When you go to the login, what it is happening, it is going to the login dialog box page. So that page when you are getting, okay, obviously there is a rendering which is going to happen. That means, okay, to the client, there is a, okay, output which is going to come. That's why restore view page goes to the render response page. Because the page it has to be displayed to the client means the render response page it has to be called. Without that, okay, you cannot, okay, get the output. Is it clear? Anything in the client, if it has to be displayed from the server, then render it has to come. That is what the one point which you need to remember. No, definitely I will save that particular diagram. I want, okay, this particular point, that restore view page, why we are going to the render response page, are you clear with that? Then we can move to that.
The control moves from restore view phase to render response phase for the first request. Then
Yes.
how about the second request?
Where you are going next? Where you are going?
Yeah, that is what I'm asking you. Like, for example, this restore phase contains a login button. When I click the login button, a login page will be rendered. That means you're saying
Login
that
page is
it
rendered.
goes to
So,
render.
Page rate has come. Correct.
Yes,
Next.
yes. Now I've entered my values. I've entered my values.
That time,
So
when
it
you
goes
are
to-
entering the values, apply request value phase. When you are entering the value,
Okay.
apply request value phase.
Okay.
And if
Okay,
any
for
kind
example,
of
I'm the-
error, when you have done any kind of error, process validation phase.
Uh,
If there is no
Okay.
error, then okay, it will be stored into the
Okay.
beam, update model phase.
Okay.
And when you click on the
Okay.
submit button, it goes to the invoke application phase. And okay, after
Okay.
that, what will happen? If the submit button, when you click, it will go to the server, checking the login name, password, and then what you will get? Home page. Again, home page when you will get?
Okay.
Again, render response page will take care. You get my point now?
Okay. A question. A question here is, there are two requests. So now when I open my application for the first request, it goes to render response phase. So I have given the values and invoke application phase is also done.
Okay.
So it is successfully done. Now I'm giving the second request. So for the second request, that means I'll be clicking on the restore view phase now. That means I'll clicking on the button which is in restore view phase. Now I have to get my home login page. So your login page will
Login
it go
page-
to apply request values phase or render response phase?
No, are you clicking
For my
how-
second request.
Who request how it will come? See, you click on the submit button, obviously it will come to the home page, but there cannot be two requests, right?
Yes.
How it can be two requests? There can be two
For
individual
example,
requests. Two individual requests.
yeah, two different individual.
So
Yes.
obviously for two different
Two
individual
different.
requests, two different restore view phases will come. And for them,
Okay,
render
you're talking about
response
you're talking about the session here. You're talking about the session.
will- okay, session in the sense what
That
do you
means session in the sense, let's say I have 5 pages. So I requested for a button. So that is the first request. In the next page, I have clicked again. That is the second request. In the next
Yes.
page, third request. Right?
Correct.
So my understanding was like, for every request, that means for the first request means for a first request of the web application. I thought in that way.
Obviously, okay.
Is it like
for
that or-
any request, it has to go to the controller, then it has to load on. Without that, it will not. Because every, as you know that in web application, every request has to go to that web server, then only it has to go. Faces context only it has.
Can we
only it has
can
to
we
come.
see this? Can we see this practically in the future classes?
Yes, in the last, we can see that, some of the pages, how it is going to run, that we can see. Because
Okay, as it is in the
these
beginning
pages-
level, there are some confusions. Yeah.
No. See, this apply request values phase, process validation phase, update model phase, and invoke application phase, you cannot see because these all the things background it will run.
Yeah.
You'll give the value.
True.
Process, if there is an error, then automatically you will be getting that process validation. Update model values phase, which will be binded to the model component, and invoke application phase, which is going to the next phase. So these all the things background it is
Yes.
running. In these
Okay.
all 4 phases, what as a user is doing is nothing but typing to login name, password, just clicking on a button. But we are doing these 3, but
Okay.
internally these are all the things which are happening. You get my
Okay,
point?
here 2 phases will be shown to the user. One is view phase and render response phase. That's it.
Correct. He will experience that
Okay.
only.
Okay, thank you.
Fine then. So this is, let me talk about this particular diagram which I am talking about. Okay, so when I click on the login, first restore view page will come. There is login, there is a password. Okay, you will give the login value and the password. When you give the login value and password, that time, that page will be called as a apply request values page. Please remember this. First, when the page is being loaded, that is called your restore view page. The restore view page, when you give the values to that particular page, that will be comes under the apply request values page. In the apply request value page, what will happen? Here, user will give the data. Here I have given like a login value, that is XYZ, password 123 I have given. That, pages, the value whenever you will be given, so that is comes under the apply request values page. So here the user will enter the values in the UI component. And this is going for the processing, the validation. And this is going to do the validation, that is process validation stage, which will be done. Maybe login, you have typed XYZ, then you have given the tab. That time automatically there is a validation which is coming. If there is an error, if there is no error, there is no problem. But if there is an error, you get like, there is say username should be of 6 characters or anything. So this, the red type of your error messages which you are getting sometimes, generally. So these messages, when you are displaying in your browser, again what will happen? Render response page, again it will come. When you do this process validation page, that means you are again displaying to the client. Anything which you are displaying to the client, the render response page will come. So that's why from the process validation page, again we will come back to the render response page. Am I clear to you? First time restore value page, when you click, the page will be loaded to the client, obviously render response page. Now in the process validation page also, if you have any error, again it has to go back to the client and it has to display that error. So there should be a render response page, it will happen. That's why in the diagram, We have seen from the process validation, again there is a line, it is coming to the render response phase, because that phase, okay, it will display the error. Now if the process validation is proper, there is no error as such and all, okay, then update model value phase which will happen. Update model value phase in the sense, in this particular phase, whatever the values which you have given in the UI component, that is the login value or the password, whatever the value we have been given, that value will be stored into a bean. That means it is nothing but a Java class object, okay, which I have created. Maybe a login bean class I have created, or a login class I have created, whatever that, okay, a class I have created, a Pojo class, okay, so that, okay, object which will contain the information. Maybe I have two variables called as login and the password. There are certain other methods are there, okay, and I have stored that, okay, XYZ and 1, 2, 3 in that particular variables. That phase will be called your update model values phase. So the update model values phase, which will basically, okay, the phase, it is going to save the UI component values to the bean component. Okay, that is what exactly will happen in the update model values phase. Alright, so these all the things, okay, which, okay, as an end user will not know, because end user will type XYZ 1, 2, 3 clicking on the submit button. But these is the things what will happen, okay, internally for the JSF. Okay, then, okay, when you have given this particular values, then invoke application value which will come, and invoke application page means what will happen, maybe it will display the home page or anything, and if it has to display that home page or anything, then where you have to go? Render response page you have to go. Without render response page, again, that, okay, output cannot be displayed to the client also. So that is why, okay, again the render response page will come. So that is what, okay, exactly we can talk about these all the phases, okay, how it will be running, okay, in the case of your JSF. Any questions here? I want everyone to respond. I want everyone to respond quickly. From I think Shivani, is it clear for you? Pavitra and Shivani from, I think, Kanakpur Road, Bangalore. Is it clear for you? Invoke application here from Chandigarh, I think. Invoke phase is the phase, okay, which is will tell us that, okay, which particular phase it has to come. That is comes under the invoke phase. Render phase is the phase which is the output it will come. Render response phase is the phase where the output will be displayed to the end user. See, invoke application phase, so what it will do? It will say that, okay, what after the bean properties has been updated in the update model value phase, the business logic of the web application is executed, okay, and in this phase, the application level events such as submitting form or linking page or another page are being executed. That is what exactly invoke application phase it is going to happen. That means that event, okay, when you click on that submit button or clicking on a link, okay, that phase, when it will execute the business logic and all, is called your invoke phase. That phase doesn't mean that, okay, that home page will come to the user. Because the next phase, in the response phase only, render response phase only, you can get the actual page. Invoke phase will not show you the page. Invoke phase says that I am going to execute the event and the business logic which is related to this particular page. That's only the invoke phase. Is it clear now? Yes, it can be Sai, you can be correct, because invoke phase is just like you are moving to a different phase, but it is not the output of that phase. All right. Any other questions from this diagram? Shivani and can I get the response from Shivani and Pavitra from Kanakpur Road? Is it clear now? you have to type in, because I will not know if you will press plus. Pallavi from Chandigarh. Fine, Pallavi. Right then. Fine then. So then we'll be moving down to the next components which are there in the JSF application, which mostly we are coming across. Okay, that we are going to discuss. That is UI component. Okay, we are going to discuss. As I told you that okay, every UI component we need to know. That is, we can talk about the text field, or we can talk about the input text field, or maybe we talk about say text areas, okay, input text areas. Then we have a password button, or a graphic, or images. Okay, maybe you have tables. Okay, all this will be comes under the UI component for that. Okay, so the UI component which will refer to the various interface component that the user will use. So that will be comes under the UI component. The second one, it is nothing but your renderer. Renderer, as we have told you that okay, there are three different kind of your renderer components which are there. That is HTML render kit, we have WML render kit, and we have SVG render kit, which are there for displaying the animation and the graphics. Then the next one, it is nothing but your validators. Okay, validators are nothing but okay, which are used for the validation purposes. So there are some classes and interfaces are also being provided for you to do this validation for depends on the values of that UI component also. Then the next one, it is nothing but we have something called as managed bean component. Managed bean component which are used for accepting the values, just like login name, password value which is stored in the login bean. Similarly, we can create number of managed beans where we can store the UI component values and we can write the other business logics also. So that is what we can write in the managed bean. Converters, again, the formats, or maybe the date format or the string based formats if we want to be displayed, then the converters can be provided to us. Event and listeners are being provided by the JSF application, where we can write the event handling code for that. Messages are the information which will be displayed. Maybe that messages can be a event related, that is the validation messages also. That can be one of the messages which can be displayed to the end user. That is also the component of your JSF. And the navigation is nothing but that is the command link or the command button which can act as a navigation component, which will move from one page to the another page also. These are all the different type of your components which is the part of your JSF applications. So the JSF based application, when you are creating, these are the components which will be the part of your JSF, and using these particular components we need to create the JSF based applications also. So that's the part of your overview of the JSF. This is the first chapter of your JSF. If you have any questions on this, we can clear and we can discuss, else we can move to the break. If you have any questions, please ask. I want everyone to respond. From Kormangala, can you please tell your name?
Shilpa.
From Kormangala? Yes?
Shilpa. Shilpa. SHILPA.
Fine. Fine, sir. Any questions? Okay, I got a question, I think. Sai, just go to irctc.com, you'll find JSF page. Do we need to create a resource bundle for messages? No. Here we need not to create that. Fine then. Thank you then. So we'll take a break of 15 minutes and we'll come back and we'll be discussing that chapter 2 of your JSF, which is the JSF tag libraries and all we are going to discuss now. This is the chapter 1 which we have finished. Thank you. We'll have a break of 15 minutes and then we can come back.